Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Again, this was a Patreon exclusive we did yesterday. There's usually several, I would say two, typical week that are Patreon exclusive deep dives, clearly spoken. Again, you can join the Patreon family for as little as $1 a month, and there's a 10% discount when you do pay for a year in advance, so it breaks down to 90 cents a month. One item at the dollar menu, which would actually be a good thing to get rid of. Hopefully nobody eats off the dollar menus anywhere anymore.
You know, the point is it really helps us, and it's a little bit. And if we give to your lives in some way, shape, or form, if we give inspiration or something to help you through your day, that's a way to help us out and let us keep doing this work.
It's all a part of energy exchange,
yes,
which the system takes advantage of. And energy exchange is a good thing, but the system, they just suck without giving anything back,
right.
Anything good. Here is part of the craziness going on in the world. You have an entire neighborhood about 15 minutes from this person that's literally slowly falling into the ocean as they write this. Today, the electrical company turns off the power. Gas company did it a month ago. It's done. Over 130 multi-million-dollar homes. Nobody will get reimbursed. This is part of the changes. Now, there's a pattern to all this. This is what we're pointing out. And the fact is, what we've taken to be normal, there really is no normal that we know of in this world, because everything has been augmented all the time with technology. You have so many people looking at things now and saying, none of this makes any sense. Something must be extraordinarily wrong atmospherically to support such a deluge over the driest region on the entire planet. These anomalies in the Sahara, again, they're huge. They don't make sense. What we're watching doesn't make sense because the science we've been given is really a lie, and everything is an illusion. We have been brought up thinking these things are just nature and acts of God, but in reality, it's always been planned. It's always been technology in place, and many people are waking up and saying, hey, this is just diabolical, because they're learning a little and they're starting to realize certain radar signals, certain technologies that are used, and all of a sudden storms, tornadoes come. These aren't acts of God. These are acts of a very, very diabolical system, a control system on the planet. And still, even when you are awakened to one aspect, they're still sleepwalking through others. It's going to take a little time, even at a time where it feels like we're running out of time. And here you have a secretive experiment release salt crystals over San Francisco Bay. Could it help curb global warming? Yeah, again, reflecting the sunlight back out. Aluminum and barium, or I should say barium and aluminum, because that gives you bowel. When you look at their, their little, what do you call those little things? They're symbols.
Yes. For the
elements. This is all stuff that's been going on the entirety of our lives. The entirety. And you might as well ask about Operation Sea Spray, where they sprayed biological agents over San Francisco, 70 years ago. And somebody died because of it. This was our government, our tax dollars, which means our blood, sweat, and tears. And you have an 1,100% increase in U.S. military deaths. Why did that happen? It's so obvious, and yet they'll go ahead and try to debunk it. It is not hard to see evil where evil is, and if you want to talk about the reality of demons, or what we would call demons, possessing people, that's very, very real. Absolutely. And in fact, we're always there's entities that are always trying to manipulate us. As you look at a former nursing home in Dublin, Ireland, that's been converted into an asylum center for people that come over illegally, that happen to all be of military age. and seem to harbor a lot of dark energy there. This particular person certainly has that dark demonic energy going. And a lot of people are up in arms about the destruction of Christian churches in France. And there's been so many fires. There's tons of fires, not just in France, but other areas going on in Europe and also in Canada and the U.S. where churches are going down. Many of these churches were not originally churches, though. This is part of how the system destroys the evidence of what went before in order to bring about a new paradigm, which is going to be slightly altered from the last paradigm. And it's all about, again, giving us an illusion through history, which is their story that they tell us how things really happened, their science. When you look at deep underground military bases and mind control, these are realities. Remember those Deagle numbers? Well, here's Dr. Bill Deagle, ex-deep state operative turned whistleblower, talks about underground city at Shriver Air Force Base with its supercomputer, which is literally used for mind control. This has been going on for a very long time. All of our lives, this has been going on. And here you have a boring machine that will build tunnels. And in fact, when we're talking about tunnels and things like that, I automatically think about the Gothard Tunnel, which was opened up. And they did this bizarre ceremony, which if you show some of their ceremonies, your video will get banned because they don't want this coming out. Because this control system on the planet is operated by demons, and the demons have given you the Bible and the Quran. So what does that tell you? This is all about mind controlling humanity. And this is, using the workers to perform rituals that are very, very dark. I mean, there's no way around this. This is dark and creepy, and I don't even know if they know what they're doing. Again, the parasites that we see on this planet, whether we're talking mosquitoes, ticks, so many other things, are actually brought in and they are grown in labs. And we understand things like Lyme disease and so many other illnesses that are brought to us by these pestilent vectors. They are created. They are manufactured. And as we've shared, there is an AI in play here, and this AI is far older than any of us. And it is not even an AI that originates here. It doesn't originate here on Earth. It was actually brought to our universe from a different universe through a portal. And this is all about Cern and the portal over Geneva. Because Cern is, in fact, even though they're going to tell you, scientists are not opening a portal to hell. That's exactly what they're doing. Well, again, what is hell? Again, we could go into, the technical aspects of everything, from Gehenna to Sheol and all these different terms that have been used. But the reality is to lower vibrational frequencies and lower vibrational places where very, very dark entities that literally feed off of pain and suffering exist. I don't think there's any group that has covered the different realms out there, perhaps as closely as the Buddhists. As a regular practice in Buddhism is deep, deep meditation. Deep meditation to the point where you can astral travel and see these different realms. And the fourth density is just loaded with different realms. Interestingly enough, often these realms are portrayed as circles, but also, kind of flat planes of existence that are enclosed. Well, again, these are cells. When you look to a cell, is a cell really flat? No, it's not really flat. Again, it's spherical. It's an enclosed system with a semi-permeable membrane that keeps the fluids outside from intermingling with the fluids inside. And it's the same thing with what we see on the bigger planes as within our own body. And this is to allow one realm to remain individual from another realm. But what these demonic entities do is, they are punching holes through these membranes, so to speak, and they are opening doors to allow the darkness to come in and penetrate our reality more. And I'll give this to Cindy as she's going to be talking about dimensional shifts.
Oh, yes. We were talking about this yesterday, and I took a look at it. And right now, we are going through a time period, and this could last for some time. But we are having a collapsing of dimensions. And it's very, very uncomfortable. But it's not just uncomfortable for those that are in those dimensions. It's uncomfortable across the board, because what's happening is Cern is creating an imbalance. I mean, it's a serious imbalance. So the body is a great example. Our cells are semi-permeable, because when they need information or they need something, that thing comes along and it has a specific key that fits the lock, and the thing is able to unlock the cell and go into the cell and bring the cell the nourishment that it needs. And this is keeping our kidney cells separate from the liver cells, separate from the heart cells, so everyone has their own little area. Well, it seems to be there's a leak. There's a leak in the body. There's a leak in the system. And what's going on is these energies, these darker entities, let's call them entities, because I think they have the ability to change. I really do. They might have to. What I've noticed is a lot of people who are on a spiritual walk, a spiritual journey, who are very good with discernment, are coming down with things, and they're saying, hey, I don't know where this thing came from. I know I'm processing. I know I'm purging. But this thing just came out of nowhere. It hit me. I'm not feeling well. I'm not well. The thoughts are not mine. And I'm not sure what to do with it. I've done what I'm supposed to do. What do I do now? And I've been able to work on them and actually push entities away from them, clear their space, and they're able to breathe again. They feel better again. They feel happy. It's about charging that heart chakra. They're feeling better. So as I look closer, I can see these dimensions collapsing on each other because there's a leak in the system. Cern is creating an imbalance, and it's forcing these entities out of their space, but they still want to live. In order for them to live, they have to feed. They need to feed. They have to have something. So they find people with a rather bright light and they begin to feed. And they do that in the way of creating bad thoughts, bad moods. They look for cracks in the aura. They look for trauma. And they are very much like a parasite. So they come in this permeable membrane that we have, that we call our energy body. They find a way in and they attach there. And then they just give you nasty thoughts to think about. And they just sit there and feed, and they don't mind. They don't care. As long as they stay alive, because they themselves needed to breathe. They want to live. Everything in this world wants to live. So as the light begins to get brighter and stronger and bigger, you'll notice that the darkness, and this really happens in the real world, the darkness gets darker, but it gets smaller, but it gets more condensed. And that's what's going on. So these entities are very, very uncomfortable. I like to give compassion to everything, but I'm not going to let it feed on me. So their only other option is to perish or to move up where there is space. And they don't want to, we understand with these entities, they are full of anger, they're full of fear, they're full of resentment, and they like to be where they're at. They just do. It fits them. It's comfortable for them. But that realm is, it's changing, it's shifting. So that's what when I looked in to see, that's what I see that's been going on for a bit now. It's gone to a new level. It seems to be Cern is starting to do things again that's going to require for them to shift and to move. So please be very aware of your own thoughts. Be very aware and have a lot of discernment. And if things just don't feel right, it's not your thoughts, and you're not processing, it just seems to come out of the blue, not sure where it came from. I mean, it's fine to purge. If you have a bad mood and you need to process something, then process it and move on. But if you're not moving out of that space very easily, could be something more going on. I would recommend a salt bath. I would recommend, salt is really, really wonderful. Some salt water, not drinking it, but putting it in the area where you might have bad energy so that it can push that energy out. Turning on some music that makes you happy. Snap yourself out of that mood. Find a few tools that will pop you out of that mood, because we all have some tricks of the trade for our own lives that we can do that'll move us. Make a gratitude list, pet your pet, hold your pet. I mean, that's really good. Holding your pet and petting your pet, get it grounded. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves here.
Absolutely. There are so many different realms. It's something we can't even fathom. And that's just even within our particular local universe, which is just a single cell. This is just the way it is. And consciousness is eternal. And consciousness simply is exploring. It's cyclical too. And everything is of a cyclical nature. This is why we have these worlds which are depicted as being both circular, but then when you're on a plane of existence, it's depicted as being flat. It's not that it's flat and you're going to fall off the edge. Again, these are cells. Everything we look at when we look to planets, when we look to galaxies and even universes, they're all cells. It's as above, so below. So it's just like within our body. Your own body is, habitation to trillions of units of individuated consciousness. This is how this matrix works. Do you guys remember this? Look at this 1970s grocery store. I remember that. Nothing but paper bags everywhere, no plastics. Look at an old-fashioned phone hanging there. It's just, I don't know, things seem so different. The sun itself seemed different, and it was in those times. In so many ways, time is truly an illusion. And yet, I think we can move forward, backward. Our Renee, who's one of our Patreons, she's talking about always time travel and reincarnation as time travel. Not just reincarnation per se and exploring a new venture as a new persona, because we take on these personas. These are so much like characters in a role-playing game in so many ways, and yet they are a way for us to give an example of an aspect of us that we want to explore in each individual incarnation. I really, really do believe, too, we can come back and redo these exact same lives from different perspectives. And I do think that we do that and interplay, with all the possible what-ifs that there possibly could be, as that was a beautiful, loving look from my wife.
Well, I really enjoyed this movie we watched the other day with one of our very, very dear friends, and it had so many aspects of 5D reality and explaining and giving you understanding at how there is no time, or you can do time travel. So it had many different aspects of a 5D way of being, and it really moved her. And I feel it moved her because she was remembering where she was from. But that movie Arrival, I mean, it had so much information in it as far as how we can move forward and backward in time, and how there is no time, and how time can be utilized to go and correct a thing that happened in your life that you wanted to be corrected, or you felt could be different. And time is truly an illusion. We are here to experience time, to have this experience for right now, but there's so much more to this realm than I can even remotely explain. What I get are just teeny tiny, itty bitty glimpses of the understanding that I bring to you guys. Being that bridge from 3D to other dimensions is what I came here to do, and I do it to the best of my ability. And so many times I feel I'm just lacking with that articulate nature from what I see, the vibrations I get, the pictures I get, and what I translate to you guys. But I always do my best, and I thrive on it. I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to look out there and say, oh, okay, well, this is what's going on, da, 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 da. And I love having my husband next to me, because so often he can bring that very necessary articulate nature to what I'm trying to say. I just get stuck sometimes, but there is a world out there that we are not aware of, and it's so beautiful. I mean, we can move toward that. It's up to us. And once we realize the darkness and how it functions, and once we realize that we can use that darkness to move ourselves toward the light, and there's really nothing the darkness can do to bring us harm unless we allow it. Once that sticks, then you can look at everything that happens to you, and things can be really crappy. I'm not denying that. Life can really be horrible, but you can look at that thing and say, hey, that moved me to the light. This is the light working in my life. They tried the darkness, didn't work. Light overcomes. And it's about looking back on your life and recognizing that, and seeing all the things that have pushed you toward the light, and holding on to that. If something's happening in your life and it's really hard right now, look back and find the understanding, find the lesson, find the wisdom, and hold on to that, because it's going to pass. If there's one thing for sure in this world, everything is temporary. It's temporary. We're going to move better. And I just love this alien here in the water. I think somebody did a really good rendition of that's a lot of fun.
This reminds me of when I was young. I was having a lot of fears, and the darkness and these dark entities were trying to get a hold of me. And it's interesting how clearly I heard the guides, and they said you don't have to be afraid. In fact, turn it around on them and push back, and they'll always flee from you. And so I learned that lesson at a very young age, and I want to say between 3rd grade and 5th grade. It stuck with me, and I really clearly heard that from my guides. And the other thing that has clearly come through is don't trust the medical system from my guides. And saying, to me, whenever I was sick as a kid, you allowed yourself to get sick. You didn't have to get sick. This was a choice. You could have chose not to. And, these things were what came through so clear. And at other times, other things not so clear, but these came through loud and clear. And again, these entities are coming in, and they're going to try to scare us. And these other entities are doing that. They're trying to scare us with war, which is real. They are creating wars. That's real. But yet we are eternal. So this is just a temporary experience. They're trying to scare us into their frequency range again, where they could continue to utilize us as an energy resource. So going back to the Buddhists, it's developing that Buddhist ability to disconnect emotionally from the negative emotions. So, that biblical term, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of, fear no evil is the key. I will fear no evil. Yeah, absolutely. And, it's fascinating, too, as I'm reading a book by Gregory Little, who's an archaeologist, anthropologist, has done a lot of really good work and exposing cover-ups, too, in a very gentle way, not a confrontationary way, but a gentle way, and showing how it's fascinating, the core beliefs from those in the Mississippian mound culture of Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, their belief set is actually, they're telling the same story that's told in Lithuania, over in the Baltic area, and it really does jive also with the same story that's told in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And so we can see that there's been this suppression of what was global knowledge. Again, when you want to look to truth, look to more of the myths and legends of the indigenous peoples, because they're the ones that held the true knowledge, not the lies that's given to us by the system and our mainstream religions. And it talks about the journey of the soul through certain different star systems. And it's interesting because, one of the things they said is the trap for the soul is laid out on a path that leads to Draco. Kid you not, the star system Draco. Yeah, absolutely. You want to take the higher path that doesn't transverse that area. And they're talking about the journey back to the higher self, which gets you thinking, well, where is our higher self? Of course, ultimately, all this is truly a construct by us, for us. But at the same time, is there, let's just say, a higher density version of ourselves that's having this experience? Perhaps sitting somewhere in a meditative state the whole time we're having these lives, multiple lives.
Mm-hmm. Understanding that our higher selves are from the future and they can see what is going on, and they're watching just us live out these little glimpses of our lives, and they it's something that we came here to do, to have this experience. And I just love this little guy. He brings his smile, and find the little joys in life. Find the little things that make you laugh and smile. And so often it comes from our pets, and they're very angelic in nature. They came here to help guide us, teach us, and they may have come here from, a different aspect of our family, or a different aspect of ourselves, to help guide us in that way. And they are very beautiful. And I think we all just need to hug our pets and love them. And because this is something that Rama does when he's in the kitchen and he's hungry, he will actually just kind of wiggle his little tail, and he'll make this big smile, and he'll do his best because he's hungry. So he's not growling at me, he's not snarling, he's just trying really hard to make us smile. And you can tell, you can look in those eyes and you can feel it. It's so precious.
It is. And so if you just saw this dog without holding this note and understanding that he's trying to smile, you might look at him and say, why? Is he snarling at me? And there are beings out there that may be a little scary to look at because we're not used to seeing them, but are not harboring ill intentions. And then there are those that might look what we think of as beautiful in this world that are harboring very dark intentions. So again, don't judge books by their covers either.
Learn discernment.
Absolutely. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.